guys, and welcome to my every season community wish list video. Now, in a lot of these, I just talk about things that we would like to see changed, and that's about it. And I'm still going to do that in this video, but I want to talk about more than just what we want changed, but more about the state of the game in general. Now, I'm going to do this in multiple sections. I'm going to break it up. So if you are the devs and watching this, please don't look at this video as I'm just going to crap on your game. I'm a huge fan of the game, and in fact, the very next section, I'm going to talk about that. This is just from a North American player's perspective on things that we'd like to see changed and why your game isn't as big in North America as it should be. And yeah, that's it. So let's get into it. So first, I always like to start the community wish list video to thank the devs from myself. I know that I don't speak on behalf of everyone when it comes to this game, but I know you guys are trying your best with what you are given. I know that your parent company is doing layoffs and you probably are low on resources, and your programmers and your artists and everything are overworked and overtired. We all are, and I know you're trying your best. With that said, I know that I don't speak on behalf of everyone, and there is a lot of negativity in both the Discords and around on Steam comments and stuff. But from myself, I know you guys are doing what you can with what you have, and I fully appreciate the changes that you make, and I try to talk positively about the game as much as I can. I know a lot of this video is going to be talking about things that the game needs to change or that I feel would help you do better, but again, from me directly, thank you so much for making this game, because I've spent thousands of hours playing it and had a great time doing it. And it's let me be expressive in making content where normally I just streamed, but now I can sit down and make videos that I feel like I am helping the community. So again, from myself, before I get into any of the negative stuff, thank you so much, devs. Anyways, let's get into the negative stuff. So now that I've got the thank you out of the way, let's talk about some of the not necessarily in-game related problems that I think plague your game and make it not as positively looked on in the North American market. Now, you are a company, you need to make money. I am someone who fully appreciates that. With that said, I think there's better ways to monetize this game that would be more positively looked upon than some of the ways you currently do it. I've talked at length about how Ultimate Gear is an absolute slap in the face to anyone that plays this game without spending money. Now, some people don't mind spending money. I personally feel spending money to get gear devalues the effort that a lot of players put into this game to try and make their build as good as possible. Knowing that no matter how hard I work, I will never get a weapon that is even remotely close to one of the ultimate versions. No matter how hard I try, no matter how much effort I put in. Now, again, I fully appreciate that you are doing this to make money, but we're going to talk about other ways that I feel this game should be making money that you could then potentially stop doing Ultimate Gear, and I think the game would be much more positively looked upon in that regard. So, one of the things a lot of your competitors do is cosmetics. And whether you're talking about Path of Exile, or you're talking about Diablo 4, the big guys, or the much smaller ones, even ones that have gone out of business, do a much, much better way of getting money from the player for cosmetics. Your current cosmetic system is the worst cosmetic system I have ever seen in a video game. My partner spent the entirety of last season saving up tickets and dismantling pieces and doing everything she could to get a skin for her character this season. And she inadvertently clicked on the wrong one. And has no recourse. That's it. She's got the wrong skill, and that's it. She spent all that time and effort to get nothing. Your cosmetic packs or system. Let's start with the system. The cosmetic system itself is a mess. Having to intentionally buy packs to get things that aren't the thing you want, or potentially get the thing you want, so that you can dismantle those to get the thing that you want, is insane to me. The fact that I can't just go onto your thing and go, here is money. I wish to give you money for this thing, and you can't just give you money for that thing is insane. I have never played in my entire history of gaming over the last 40 years seen a cosmetic-based system where you can't just buy the cosmetic you want. Now, having special cosmetics that you can only get through combat, that you can get through the game itself, wonderful. As players, we all appreciate having to work for a special skin that nobody else is going to have because you're the one that did that thing. That's one thing. Having cosmetics that you can't access is crazy. That you can't, that normal I'm not talking about specialty. I'm talking about just, I want to make my whirlwind blue and I can't just go give you money. I want to give you my money for that thing. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that you don't have a way to directly purchase the skins. Crazy. Absolutely nuts. Whether it's through diamonds or rubies, which I know you used to do, for basic skill skin changes. In-game. Cool. If you don't want to do rubies, that's fine. But let us buy the basic ones, and they should be a reasonable price if they are just a recolor. With that said, the current system is also flawed in that you can't buy a small pack. I am not someone who has $200 to throw at a 5,000 diamond pack to get a bunch of skins. And I would love to give you $10. Path of Exile, your absolute biggest competitor, has supporter packs that they do at the beginning of every season. Buy these things, they give you random skins and pets and whatever, and they cost $1. And I would love to give you those dollars. But the fact that you make some of the prices absolutely insane for any normal person makes it that I don't want to spend any money on your game. Now, the worst and most egregious use of this was 2 seasons ago. You released a pet that the player base have been begging you for. I'm literally begging you for in every single one of my community wishlist videos. We want a cat pet. Oh my god, I've never seen a game that doesn't have a cat pet, like, first thing. And you guys finally gave us a cat pet, the Halloween cat pet, and we were so excited. And then we saw it came in a $200 pack, and there was no other way to access that. Now, as someone who gets partner creator diamonds, I actually had the diamonds available to buy it, and I didn't buy it in protest of your pricing system. $200 to get that thing is crazy. Oh, but you get so many other things in it. I don't care about the other things. Why can't I buy a pack that includes just that thing? Why can't I buy just that pet? I would give you $10 real world money right now for that pet. But you put it in a $200 pack, and now I don't have it. I'm not the only person that thinks this system is insane. It's mind-boggling, absolutely blows my mind that the cosmetic system in this game is as bad as it is. Because you've got cool skins, like this skin here, that now I have to somehow try to get if I didn't already have this. This is I would pay $25 for this full set. I would give you $25 if I didn't have this, if I saw this. but you make it impossible to get. And then when you do release new costumes, let's go take a look. This is a game I'm fighting demons and stuff. Look at this cool skin. Okay, and then we go, look at that cool thing. And then we go down to the stuff that you release. What is this? What is this? Who's asking for this? I am begging you. The cosmetic system in this game across the board needs a massive overhaul. I'm not just talking about pricing. I'm not just talking about the way you unlock stuff. I'm not talking just about the whole thing is ludicrous. I'm not saying don't put out a silly skin. I played the entire last season as Banana Cat. Okay? But when every new cosmetic is, hey, look, it's another bathing suit. 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 What are you doing? Okay? Anyways, that's problem number one for me, okay? Is your cosmetic system is nuts, okay? So let's start there. That's major problem number one for why, as a North American, I'm not supporting your game financially, even though I love your game and I'm supporting it by putting out videos and streaming it literally every single day for the last 4 years. Okay? The ultimate gear is number two. It is insulting to players that want to work hard for the stuff. You gotta not monetize the best gear in the game, because that is putting your game from maybe it's pay to win to it's pay to win. There is no other way to word that. You can't. And the worst part is, you don't win anything. It's pay to complete the game. There's no winning. It's not I'm doing something spectacular with it. I'm just beating the content. Is it possible to beat the content without it? Yes, it is. But making that the best gear in the game, I can't drop it. I can't get it any other way. Oh, you can buy it on the auction house if somebody else sells it. But that person had to put diamonds into the game to get a copy of something that they didn't need so that they could put it on the auction house for an ungodly amount of rubies. It's crazy. So those two. That's this section. Is Ultimate's gear and dear God, your cosmetic system. Please, I am begging you. I am begging you from everyone who plays this game. Stop doing goddamn bathing suits. Please stop doing bathing suits every season. And give us more. Look at this armor. This is a work of art. This is absolutely gorgeous. And then you've got this. Okay, that's this section. Ultimate gear, please do something about making that your big money maker. And dear God, the cosmetic system. I'm begging you. So I did forget about one other thing that is very bad about your current monetization system, and that is the transcendent link runes. Now, I love the idea of much more powerful link runes and them being very hard to get. But in the current system, they are impossible to get. I have gone out of my way 2 seasons in a row actively farming to try and get any of them, and I have not. I have never seen another player on the North American server drop one of these things from the Wheel of Fate boss. I understand you want them to be exclusive and hard to get, but making them just this side of impossible to acquire is not a great way about going about that. Having them pretty much exclusively through gacha is insulting to players, again, that really want to put in the work. Now, with the next season, with the eroded boundary, the current note we have had a part saying that the new Transcendent Link runes are going to potentially be dropped in the new content. I don't know if that's going to include these ones as well, because even something that has, say, a 1 in 5,000 chance of dropping is hopeful. The Wheel of Fate is impossible. No one's ever going to get it from there. And it's so out of the way to even try to do it, it's not worth doing. Again, putting things that are the most powerful things in the game specifically behind a paywall will get you money. Players will buy them, but it's going to alienate every other player, and you're going to have nothing but bad reviews when you have absolute pay-to-win equipment like that. Next up, let's talk about communication. Communication has always been a problem with this game. The players, at least in the North American market, which is the only one I'm in, so it's the only one I can really talk about, are absolutely losing our minds over the complete lack of communication. Now, the most recent director's letter gives me a little bit of hope. And the other thing that gave me a little bit of hope is you did a survey at the end of last season. You did a survey talking about this season, and that's good. That's incredibly good. The areas that you really need to step it up. One is your Discord. You have no moderators that are player-based, okay? No one in the community to de-escalate situations, to deal with scammers and people putting straight up pornography on there, which, I like pornography, but I don't want to see it on my Undecember Discord. There is no one managing it at all from the player side. I understand you guys have a person that does it. I am on your Discord 24 hours a day. The first thing I do when I wake up is answer questions on your Discord. I answer questions on the Discord while I'm on stream. I am someone you should have as a moderator controlling something in regards to stopping spam, because it looks amateur. It makes your game look amateur when you have constant daily spam putting stuff on there, or people putting things that shouldn't be on there, and you don't deal with it for hours and hours. Whereas if you had a handful, I can think of at least 5 people that are on there answering questions and could deal with this job and would do it for free. You understand that we're not asking for money to do this job. So the Discord, communication on the Discord. Communication when there is an issue. I understand you can't fix every bug right away. You can't. Sometimes bugs are really big. But the second a big issue is addressed, you need to be on top of it. You need to have someone saying, hey, we understand that people are stacking a thing, a debuff or a buff, so that they can get infinite pirate coins and get all the 50,000 point boxes. We understand that's happening. We are going to address it. We are going to fix it. You need to put a post about that day. We understand you can't fix it right away, but if you say this is what's going on, and if you're doing it, this is cheating, and we're going to ban you for doing it, come out of the gate and talk to us. It is this game right here. Okay, I'm playing a stupid phone game on my phone right now. This is another Korean-made game by 2 guys. And they had a bug 2 weeks ago, and within 20 minutes of the bug being announced, they had a post. There's only 2 dudes, and they had a post saying, hey, this is what's wrong. We're going to be on it. You are a massive company. I understand that you probably don't have a huge amount of employees, but there needs to be someone addressing these issues right away. As soon as you guys are aware of it, as soon as the player base is aware of it, I'm pretty confident we were more on top of that situation than you were. I was answering questions saying, yes, that's a bug. That's not intended. This is what's going on. And it took, I don't even know how long, a month before it was actually addressed by you, the devs. It's crazy to me that the communication is as poor as it is. Now, I fully appreciate that there is a language barrier. You are a Korean-based company dealing with multinational, you've got 4 different servers across God knows how many languages, and there's always going to be communication issues. But putting out a post, even in just Korean, saying this is what's going on, we have Google Translate. We can figure out what you're talking about from a post, even if it's just the most basic of things. And that's something you desperately need to work on, is when there's an issue, when there's something going on, don't hide and say nothing about it, because we're going to lose our minds. We're going to be panicking. Every time something happens, we lose our minds, and we're just waiting. We're just sitting here with bated breath, desperately waiting for some kind of communication. So that's big. I understand when people put in tickets, that's a whole separate thing. I'm sure you have people that do that, and we get these form letters back because you're just dealing with such a high volume of people putting, oh, this is a bug, but it's not a bug. They just don't actually know how the game works or whatever it is. But there are definitely bugs that need to be addressed that if you just said, we are aware of this bug, it would make us all happy. You currently have a list, I think it's on the Discord here, of known bugs. That's just, that's a picture from my Discord. That's not it at all. I'm not sure even where it is. Known issues. So you've got a known issues thing on your site that's connected to the Discord. And this is great. This is a more recent thing where we can see that there's issues with this stuff. I know personally, I have put in tickets fully explaining a bug, a known issue, and it's not on that list. I put in the same tickets for things multiple times, and they have not shown up on that list. You need to be more on top of that. Okay? I'm not trying to tear you guys apart, and I understand that there are always going to be your own issues, but communication like this about bugs, about cheating, needs to be addressed. That you got to be more on top of that. Next up is the I'm not even sure how to put this. I'm going to break it into 2 parts, okay? Number 1, you need to have better leading up to the season stuff. Every game I have ever played, no matter how crappy, stupid little idle game, will put out, here's the new thing. It's coming out. Here's a very short video, 30 seconds long, 15 seconds long, showing here's what's going to be in the new thing. Ooh, epic music and stuff. We get nothing like that. As a partner creator, as someone who puts out content for your game, you should be working directly with us, with the YouTube and the Twitch and the Kick and whoever else is making content for your game, and sending us some kind of thing that we can get the rest of the player base hyped up about. I have no more information than anybody else, and people ask me about the most recent director's letter, and what do you think this is going to be, and what do you think that is going to be, and I have no information to give them. I should be someone who is, I am a dedicated player to your game. I am someone that should be amping up the rest of the community. If you look at any other major ARPG, when a new season is coming out, a month ahead of time, they are getting information about the new content and getting pumped up about it and planning things and getting a dialogue going about your game and how exciting the next season is going to be. And you don't give us anything to work with. Now, along with that, I've had viewers ask about ads. And I know you guys, again, this is a money thing, so I'm not going to be too heavy about this. But there's 2 things you're doing or not doing that looks bad on your game. And that's new season coming out. There is no advertising of any sort, at least here in the North American market. And there is no Twitch drops, anything cool. There's nothing to make people that aren't already playing your game potentially want to play it, or players return to it. Hey, did you see that the new season's coming out on September 10th? Look at the new cool stuff. I understand that both Twitch drops and advertisements cost money, but there should be some small scale thing. I know you guys have done this in the North American market before, and the last time you did it was when you launched launched Act 12. That is so long ago that you've done anything for advertising, at least that I know of. It doesn't look good when you have a new season, especially one that I feel is probably going to be a really good season coming up, and there is no information about it. There's no hype about it. There's no ads about it. And that looks bad. What else? Is there anything else I want to talk about in this particular section? I'm not sure. But again, what it comes down to for this whole section is communication. This is the communication section. We would like to see more interaction as players, or especially as content creators for your game. I have been making videos for your game for 4 years, and there is no communication with me ever directly, and I have had much smaller content creators than me, and I'm tiny, and I've had smaller content creators than me for much smaller games than yours, having direct communication with the devs on some level. So, I've always asked about this in every single wish list is communication. Please let us communicate. I personally would kill for an opportunity to do a Q&A with you. A couple of seasons ago, you brought Korean streamers in Korea and did a Q&A with them in person. I understand it would be a much bigger task to do some kind of Q&A with the North American market or the European market, but that kind of thing goes a really long way to letting your players know that you care about what they think and that you're going to try and do your best to make the game good. Okay, that's that section. Let's move on. So my next major talking point here is about standard. Now, I'm someone who enjoys playing standard. I know quite a few of my viewers enjoy playing standard, and the game is definitely heavily leaned towards seasonal. Now, when this game originally released, they were very clear about the fact that they were not going to do seasonal, and that was one of the big points that made me start playing this game. That a character I have worked on is still relevant. I can take that character and go do the new content. Now, I understand you've shifted to seasonal, and I absolutely understand why you've done this. It is much harder to balance a game where the gear that you had previously, even if it is no longer in the game, it is overpowered. Now, you have some ways to deal with this, but I get that you've got the two separate things. But standard has been left behind. And in a bunch of ways, that's really bad for the players like myself that want to play standard. One of the biggest complaints I see from players that want to play standard is stop resetting everything. When it was before seasons existed, I fully understood resetting everything, right? You have to get out of here, fur. I have to, as a player, have something to do. So resetting certain things makes me have to do those things again, and because of that, it gave the game content. Now that we are in a seasonal-based system, resetting everything in standard is not enjoyable. Certain things absolutely make us redo. Let's say the engravings on the Zodiac stones. That's not the worst thing in the world, especially with the constellation of time being changed and the content probably being a little more cohesive to the main theme of the game. Let's say the chaos runes, these guys here. Resetting those, not the worst thing in the world. A lot of the time your build isn't built around it. It's not a major thing. But things like the Abyss Gate gear slot upgrades, for someone who is a much more casual player, like my partner, she will get maybe Abyss Gate 2 done and work hard to get those points. Those points for her gear slot upgrades are very important to her having enjoyment. And her having to redo the base levels to get that little bit that she fought so hard to get back is not enjoyable for her. The resetting of your rune board, not your rune board, sorry, your zodiac. Resetting your zodiac and your rune master points and making her redo all of that at the beginning of the season doesn't make it enjoyable for her. She never goes back and plays standard, even though she wants to, because she can't just pick up her character that she just spent all season working on and start playing it again. She doesn't know where everything goes. She doesn't know what she's missing and what she's not missing. Resetting everything on standard is detrimental to this game. Now, there are players, obviously, that are going to get through to Abyss Gate 130 and blaze through it in a couple of weeks or a couple of days if they've got the resources to do so. And to those people, it's not going to matter much. But to the bulk of your player base that wants to play standard, resetting everything is a really negative thing for the game. It makes players like me, who have multiple standard characters, if we go back to character select here, this is a max level ready to play character who has to be completely reset if I want to do anything with. This is a completely max level super duper character that I have to completely redo everything to get him to play again. This is another character that I want to play, but I'm not going to go through the trouble of resetting everything just to do a little bit. The bulk of it is resetting standard is unnecessary. The players that are going to play standard are not trying to do it because they're trying to be the ultimate, have the biggest high number. Some are, a very small percentage are, but a lot of the players that I talk to on my stream that are standard players aren't playing it because they're trying to be the best. They're playing it because they're having fun playing the game and they just want to play the character that they've already spent time building. Resetting it is a very unnecessary step at this point. I understood, again, previously when there was no seasons, but now especially we're, 12 seasons in? Please, I am begging you to at least consider stop resetting every single thing in standard. I understand some things need to be reset that are unrelated to actually standard, but you can still access in standard, like the offerings to the 12 gods. You need to have only the last 50,000 points carry over. Otherwise, it becomes everybody has this maxed out and then it doesn't matter. There are certain things that, again, the engravings, sure, I don't mind redoing those. It's a pain. It's annoying that I have to redo it at all for this character that I made. But if that's something that you really are hung up on, but resetting our already established rune master points, so I don't know what my points were in this. I have to put all of these back in, and I'm going to put them back in the exact same spot. Why do they need to be reset? I don't understand. Same with the chaos runes. I don't think they're like build defining, that you are going to have a major difference in your build if you had access to the ones from previous seasons. And being able to constantly work on trying to get really good ones would make this feel better. Knowing that no matter how good I put in here, it's going to go away at the end of the season makes it feel pointless. So in the end, again, this is just about standard. The other thing that standard suffers with is they don't get a bonus like we do on seasonal for the hot time. Now, I understand you're trying to make seasonal more advantageous for players so that newer players play the season and that your content can just keep rolling forward seasonally. But not giving any kind of buff to seasonal or to standard players, I've had viewers ask about it. And I don't know why it's different. It should be the same hot time event. There's no disadvantage to the player base to having that. There are other things that, standard suffers with, a lower drop rate and a bunch of other things that makes it already not advantageous to play. So ease up on standard, stop resetting it, maybe throw them the hot time event that we already have on season. That's it for this section. Let's move on. So another talking point I want to talk about is cheating. Now, cheating is fairly rampant in this game and has been since the beginning. Now, I'm not expecting you guys to be able to catch every cheater, but when there is a massive exploit that many players are taking advantage of, and you don't, this comes back to communication, and you don't acknowledge it. Now, you might not be able to fix the issue, but acknowledging it and putting out a post saying, hey, if you're doing this exploit, you will get some kind of ban for it. It will be so much better than waiting and waiting until you fix the problem and then dealing with the cheaters. Getting ahead of the problem is something that desperately needs to be done. There has been dozens of major exploits in this game since the beginning. The most recent one being using a way to get a million bajillion pirate coins and then buying a bunch of 50,000 point boxes, because you can just reset indefinitely. So the more coins you have, the more times you can roll, the more times you can roll, the more boxes you can get. If you can get a million boxes, the points don't matter for re-rolling. But that's not necessarily the worst of the exploits we've had. We have had dozens and dozens of different exploits over the course of the game. Now, again, I'm not expecting you to be able to stop exploits. I'm not expecting you to be able to stop cheaters from cheating. But when we message you and say, hey, there's this exploit happening, here's exactly how it works, please do something about it, there should be a post immediately from you guys. The second you know about it, you should be putting out a post explaining, hey, there is a known issue with X, please don't do X, otherwise we're going to ban you. Getting ahead of it, letting players know that cheating is unacceptable, is going to help cut down on the cheating. And cheating, again, makes your game look bad in the eyes of the player base. Knowing that people get away with cheating for months and then finally get a slap on the wrist for it is not, it's not good. It looks really bad on your game. Now, I know other people have problems with the actual anti-cheat software itself causing issues with the game, but that's not what I'm talking about here. It's the acknowledging that there is an issue and making some kind of announcement about it that is very commonplace. And we, the player base, or at least I know, the second I find out about some kind of exploit, I put in a ticket about it. And obviously, again, you might not be able to get to the tickets right away, but I put it on there, I put it on Discord, I try to communicate with you as much as possible about these things, and your responses seem to be very slow and very kind of pointless, because even what you did about the most recent one, where you just made their points go into the negatives, that doesn't hurt them, because it just stops them from this season. They're going to go right back to cheating with a different method as soon as it's available. Anyways, that's it about cheating. Let's move on. Let's talk about storage. Storage is, in every RPG game, a very important thing. People like to pack rat. I know. I am a pack rat in games. I like to keep everything, and I'm not opposed to you limiting how many of a thing we can have. But there are quite a few items in this game that stack into very bad amounts. I understand, again, you want people to have those storage issues so you can sell them the solution of storage. The problem is, some of the things don't stack in a reasonable amount that even with the paid storage, I can't stack enough of them. So let's look at probably the most horrible example, which is star memories. When you are going to do a crafting thing, crafting requires hundreds of thousands of these at the high end, which means I have to take up a very large portion of my storage. Why these cannot stack to 9,999 is beyond me. It's not going to stop people from buying storage. It's really not, but it is going to make this particular thing convenient. Another one is jewel polishing stones. When you end up doing a lot of very high-end jewel polishing, you need a ton of these, and they only stack to 999. Let us stack them to 9,999. A lot of the other things that do stack to very small amounts, and especially with new players, this is a problem. I understand, again, there are certain things that you are going to want. You want their inventory to be full so that you can sell them storage. But there are certain things that even with the storage amount that is available, we can't store enough of a thing. Those are the two biggest examples. Major earth elements is another one that I don't have the gold to upgrade the runes for my compendium, so I have to store these, and the storage only goes to 9,999, and these should stack to 9,999. I don't see it being a major issue and causing suddenly nobody's going to buy storage. With that said, the max storage per type is something that you can upgrade for rubies. Why not let us upgrade that further? Why not let us upgrade it to a much higher level? It will take rubies out of the market. It will cause players to buy more rubies, at least, to get these extra storages. The overall, with a lot of these things, even monster spirits and stuff, are, you just have so many of them that you can't do anything with them. But the monster spirits at least stack to 999. So if you're doing it with those, why not let it stack with the other items that we are going to have a huge amount of? Again, the biggest three, in my opinion, are the jewel polishing stones, major earth element, and then all three of the different star memories need to stack to higher amounts, along with the corresponding high traces, because these also stack to 100, and we end up with thousands of them. Let them go to 1,000 even, and that would be much better. I think the other major ones are just the essences should be higher stacking. You don't need to put them at 9,999. I think that would make inventory management so effective that some people wouldn't buy storage, although these convenience of these storages isn't just that they hold the items, it's that you can use the items from everywhere, and that's the reason I end up buying these. Long story short, storage in general stacks need to be higher, and we need to be able to purchase or access more storage, because it is a very important part of the game, and having entire characters full of an item because I don't want to get rid of that item because I'm going to use it, but I don't have anywhere to put it, it's not a good thing for the game. Next up, I'd like to talk about the amount of character slots. Now, when the game originally released, at least here in North America, you had X number of character slots, and then you could buy more. Eventually, for some reason, you guys stopped doing that and then refunded the people and set it to a certain amount. I'm sure there is a logical reason to do that. Maybe it's to stop people from having too many mule characters. I don't know. But I can say with absolute confidence that multiple players have brought it to my attention that they have now completed all of their character slots. And every season they've played a character and they've maxed it out, and then it goes to standard, and eventually you have no more slots for a new character. And that means that when I start a new character for the new season, I have to give up a character I spent a lot of time working on. Now, obviously, there's issues with selling character slots, but there needs to be some kind of system put in place for giving us extra slots. Whether it's a new slot becomes available if you start a character on seasonal, or you can buy an extra character slot per season, something. It's definitely feels bad having to give up a character that I spent hundreds of hours working on, if not thousands of hours working on, to have to make a new character. And especially now that we know we are a seasonal game and I'm going to be creating at least one new character every season, those extra character slots are now important. And this isn't just from me. I've had many players on my stream bring this to my attention, so I'm bringing it to yours. Extra character slots in some way, please. Okay, now that we got the bigger, larger topics out of the way, we're going to go to the actual wish list. Now, Some of this is stuff that I've put on here myself. Some of this that has been brought to my attention from other players. And I want to talk about, actually, before I get to the actual list, I want to bring up the wish list video that I put out where people could put their comments on it. And I want to show you the response that I'm getting to that video, where there are a lot of comments. And typically my videos don't get a lot of responses. But if we look at the comments here, there is a lot of players giving feedback for this game. And I already talked about communication. So the fact that we have that many players interested in suggesting things that could improve the game is something you guys should be following. So with that said, let's get into the actual list. Now, some of these are very unimportant stuff. Some of them are very small, and I've tried to sort them from what I feel are low priority changes up to the higher priority changes. So the first one here, in no particular order, is the offerings to the 12 gods should be mode bound, not account bound. Now, I want to go show the content itself here. We go over to Peeve. You can see that we have the offerings to the 12 gods. Now, if I'm playing two different characters, if I play standard and I play seasonal, I would like to be able to have different offering lists. I understand they share a currency between them, but having the ability to play a spellcaster on standard and a warrior on season without having to share this, because my spellcaster is gaining nothing from this, but this is a perfect setup for a warrior. I would like to change that. Again, this is something that I don't expect is going to happen, but it is something I would like to see changed. Next up on the list, of course the list isn't going to come back up, is high emotions should be mode bound, not character bound. This is in the same vein of problem as the first one here. The Constellation of Time. Now, I know you're making changes to the Constellation of Time, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but currently the high emotions are character bound, which means if this character farms and I'm playing on standard and I want to use those emotions to engrave, I have to give the stones from the other character to this character, engrave them, and then give them back, or farm more. And making this be character bound or mode bound, so season or standard, so that they have their own, would be a much better way to do this. Also, someone requested that these go higher than 1,000, which I don't think is necessary, but I did want to put it in. Next up, we have the number of cards for the new card system. The small number in the upper corner of the ones that you have needs to be a different color than the background. There's at least a dozen different cards where the background is entirely white and you cannot possibly see the number that you have of the card. I think it would not be too difficult to put a border around that so that you have a white number with a black border. It's going to show up on any background no matter what. Probably a very simple fix to add just a border on the font. Hopefully that's something you can do. The next one is one I just added a couple of minutes ago. I was a massive fan of the fact that you guys put out a survey asking, because I've talked constantly about communication, and that was the first time we got like a chance possibly to put input into the game, and we can immediately see the response from that this season. You put it out last season, and this season the most requested thing on there, fixing the Constellation of Time, is now a thing in the new one. So we know that you're listening because of that. The problem, and this is something that is not a big deal, but it definitely irked a lot of people the wrong way, was saying that you were going to give Ruby rewards for heartfelt input, I think is the exact way you put it. Now, I know I put a lot of effort into mine. I had it all spaced and organized, and I put all my thoughts and everything, and I didn't get rubies. Now, I don't actually care about the rubies themselves. The fact that some people got rubies and some people didn't for doing the exact same work is a bad idea. Just give everybody the rubies. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not going to completely botch the market if you did it. And I know the players that, like myself, again, I don't care, but I know players like myself that put the time and effort to make sure that our thoughts were cohesive and we did a good job putting the survey to its best use, got nothing for it, and they were very ticked about it. Don't give rewards to some people when all the people did effectively the same amount of work. Just give it to everybody. It's not a big deal. Everybody will be happy. Next one is something that I don't think you actually have a way to do because of how Abyss Gate works, but someone asked for this, so I do want to put it in. The fact that Abyss Gate gives no experience at all is a bummer, especially when, at the lower level players anyway, going through Abyss Gate can take 20 or 30 minutes per map, and if they die or something, they get nothing out of it. I know because of how the monster scaling works, it would be hard to find a way to give XP in the Abyss Gate, but it is something that even though it wasn't my idea, I do agree that getting XP in there should be a thing. The Chaos card sort by modifiers. This is another one that somebody else brought up just recently. And the Chaos card sort by modifiers would be something we'd really want. Now, when you can search for Chaos cards in the thing here, when I go to put in a map, I want to be able to sort, and this isn't from me, but I agree. I want to be able to sort out maps that have reflect or curse of speed or whatever other modifier my particular build struggles with or doesn't want to deal with. Being able to identify all the cards and then just sort out the ones we don't want would be a really nice feature, a quality of life upgrade for a lot of players, and I don't think it's necessarily a hard project for you guys to do, because you can do searches for other things. I'm sure you can do a search for this. Next up is dismantle uniques into shards for the Wheel of Fate. Now, this was suggested by another thing, so I'm putting question marks on this one. What the person wanted to do, and I do agree it's an okay idea, but I think it would be hard to implement, is instead of dismantling uniques into Krako's shoddy fragments, they get dismantled into shards, okay? So based on the level, because the synthesis mechanic is based on level. So if you do a 31 and up, and dismantle it, it dismantles into a 31 or a high tier shard, okay? And then the lower ones all go into their own shards. That way, when you go to use the Wheel of Fate for synthesis, you don't have to have these massive stacks of unique items to do it. You just have a storage for those unique things. Now, you already have a storage that is not particularly purchased. I'm sure very few players purchase the unique shard storage. You could make this so that another tab holds your shards as materials, and then you can use those as materials at the Wheel of Fate. It solves the problem of people being annoyed by the lack of storage for uniques and then just not using the synthesis mechanic at all. Again, not my idea. I do agree with it in a lot of ways. I'm not sure if there's a good way for you to implement it, but obviously I wanted to bring it up. Now, somebody's telling me I missed one of my points here, so give me a second. Yes. The bounty being all used at once. It's a very small quality of life feature that the high-end players would definitely like. I have seen this multiple times request. I'm sorry that my screen keeps going black. I don't know how to fix it. The bounties. If you go into use a bounty, there is this right here, the daily completion count. I want to use more of these, right? I want to get my number up to 30. Why not have a bar where I can select the amount? I want to use all 18 at once. I don't want to have to go, okay. It's tedious and unnecessary. I want to be able to just use them all at once. Just give us a selection like you have in many of the other things where it lets us select how many we can use, and then it just uses them all at once. Next up, we have the move the raid accept button away from the decline button. On PC, it's not a big deal. On my phone, they are teeny tiny little buttons that are directly beside each other, and I got big fat rock climber fingers. I constantly hit decline when I don't mean to, and then I have to leave raid because I declined. I cannot possibly be that hard to take one of the two buttons and just move it to the other end of the indicator. Yes over here, no over here. Okay? I don't think it's a big ask to do that, and it should not be super complicated to do. From my knowledge of programming, it can't possibly be that hard. Next up is, this is something I have noticed myself, but this was brought to me from a viewer. The energy effects for certain skills are inverted, and adding a clause to the skill itself that it inverts the effect of the energy would be really nice. So certain builds, I cannot think of exactly which ones, but there's more than one. There's 3 or 4 of them that use a type of energy for the skill itself. It has on the skill that it wants fire energy, but it's an attack. And using fire energy with attacks lowers attack damage. So why would you want to use fire energy? But you have to because of the skill. So having it with those particular skills, I should have gone through and got a proper list of them. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go do that right now. Okay, rather than putting them in a list, I'm just going to talk about them. Now, not all of these require fire energy for the skill, but some of them do. So let's start with Firebomb Shot. It gets heat explosion duration per 1 fire energy. But again, fire energy lowers attacks, so you're actually nerfing yourself in a way to use this. I know it's not the only one that has that effect, and I'm not going to go through here. I'll find them all. This one, I know there's another one that does it as well. Anyways, so there's the fire attacks that are getting nerfed by using fire energy. And fire energy, or energy in general, is really fun to play with, but these skills getting nerfed because of it really makes it bad. And then you've got the opposite. You've got spells that are physical, which there are less of. The one that really matters the most is Thorn Explosion. I guess Blade of Death really gets heavily used as well, but that's something to consider. I'm not sure if you could find a way to balance, to change it on the skill itself in some way that the energy does the opposite, or if that'd be too hard, like too complicated wise. Again, not something super, super important, but I do feel it's something that should be addressed. Next up, we've got the Chaos Ring revamp. Now, when the Chaos Ring first came out, I was excited, and I thought, hey, this will be a neat thing. And it ended up not being very worth it. So what I mean by the Chaos Ring is the Chaos Ring. Every so many maps, you're going to get a unique, or not a tier 11 map. Problem is, they're always white. And since we don't have a way to upgrade maps anymore, these are effectively garbage. Unless you're really early in a season and you're desperately trying to get keys, these are an inconvenience because we will see the pip pop up and then we have to accept the map and then we have to get rid of the map. Rather than having it just be white maps, have it so that it cycles every, let's say, 3 once. So if I run and I get an Alyssa, it'll give me 1 pip, and then 2 pips, and then 3 pips, and then the next time I would have got one, it upgrades it to a blue. It would make the ring feel more useful when running these things, and it wouldn't be an annoyance when I have to come in and click just to get a map that I don't want anyway. There's no way to turn the pips off or anything, so why not make it something that'll give us something over time that would make it feel worth doing? I don't feel like that's a particularly hard thing to do, or that it would somehow imbalance the game in some way. Just giving us access to an occasional legendary map is not a big deal, because you have a whole thing with the Ash event where we can get basically unlimited legendary maps. So using this to give us legendary maps would revitalize the Chaos Ring and make it less annoying. Next, we've got icon on new uniques to put into the compendium so we can see from the backpack if it is needed from the compendium. This is also going to couple in with the next one, which is an exclusion list for dismantling. Now, I know this is something I've brought up. I know this is something other people have brought up. When you are starting a season and you are trying to fill in your compendium, it's super annoying to have to stop every map and come in here and click this to see if we have a unique or not. We should be able to have it right from the thing showing us that there's an icon somewhere on the unique itself, maybe down in the lower corner here, because I know if we take this out, we get the pip in the upper corner. Why not put one in the lower corner that shows if it's needed in the compendium or not? Okay. Again, something that I don't feel like is hard to do mechanically and would be very advantageous to players that are like me and want to collect everything without having to spend a ton of time constantly doing the same checks over and over. That also couples in with the dismantled exclusion list. I know I am not the only person who has accidentally dismantled a high tier transcendent item because you didn't see it until afterward. Now, the one I did, I don't even remember doing at the time. One of my viewers said, hey, you just dismantled a Comet's Perch. And I was like, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? And then I went back in the video and saw that I did. Having a list where we can exclude certain things from dismantling, no matter what, would be really nice. Again, definitely not a high priority thing, and it's probably a lot of work, I think, in the back end to set that up. But it is something that I know I would appreciate as a viewer, as a player of your game, and I know I'm not the only one that would like that. Next up is these next ones. This one is remove ID scrolls. I've done whole videos about why identification scrolls in this game are nothing but an annoyance. Now, depending on the game, sometimes lore-wise it feels important, or there's some specific reason you have to do it like that. ID scrolls are annoying in this game. They don't serve any purpose. All they do is slow players down and make a very clunky system for IDing. Removing them from the game and making every item automatically identified doesn't change the core gameplay loop at all. It solves us having to pick up ID scrolls. Now, I want to talk about why they were in the game in the first place so that we can move forward from this. ID scrolls were originally incredibly difficult to get, and you could really only access them by buying them with rubies from the shop. That is no longer the case. You can actually buy them for free, basically, in terms of cost at the shop. You can just buy them whenever you need them. Why not just remove them? It's an extra step in every process, checking maps, checking charms, checking gear. Why not remove it entirely? People have talked about, oh, but there's a market for selling unidentified uniques. I don't think that market is so big that everyone should have to be inconvenienced by this system just to have unidentified items on the auction house. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some people are going to yell about this comment. And if you are, please yell at me in the comments and say, no, we want unidentified. But I can tell you from personal experience and from the viewers talking about it, ID scrolls are obnoxious, especially when it comes to legendary maps and you have to ID them 25 damn times just to see what the bonus reward is. It doesn't add anything to the game other than an extra annoying step with no lore purpose behind it and no difference. Nothing changes when you identify it. So I'd really love to see ID scrolls removed. I don't expect it to happen. The next one is another low priority. Remove the excavation bounty. This is something I've talked about a bunch of times. The excavation bounty is one of the bounties where you get 4 different mines of some sort. I'm not sure what they are. I'm pretty sure they're mines. And you have to click them in the correct order to get the reward. It is a bad mechanic. It slows down gameplay drastically because what will happen is the 4 mines will be spread over a certain amount of area. You have to clear the enemies all the way through all of them. Find out what the order is, which is not apparent or listed anywhere other than us knowing where it is now. Then go to each of them and click them. Now, your whole gameplay loop in this game is about going ungodly fast and exploding everything and blowing everything up at high speed. And you've intentionally created a mechanic that forces players to stop multiple times, check things that aren't apparent, and then do 4 clicks to wait, and with a tiny reward. Easy way to solve this, okay, without having to make a big deal about it. Remove the order, okay, so you just have to find the 4 and just put them all over the map. You don't have to put them near each other, just put them all over the map, and as long as you click all 4 of them, you get the item. It's not something that's game breaking if you change it, and I guarantee people will be happy that particular bounty is gone, because everyone skips it. Any high-end player completely skips it because it's not worth their time to clear the area and then look at the thing and then go over here. So either remove it completely as a bounty or make it so that it is not so clunky, so that it doesn't interrupt the gameplay loop. Next up, we've got a better seasonal ranking system. In the current seasonal ranking system, the only thing that matters is your chaos level. Now, I'm someone who does not miss a day. I get all of my Rune Master every day. I occasionally have apples from events, which I run all of, and the only thing that matters is your chaos rank. So if I go to the chaos rank right now, and I haven't missed a day, and I'm Rune Master like 383 or something, and the person in first place is Rune Master 700 because they bought apples every single day. I understand you as a company want to find ways to have income brought to you, but making a ranking system that is entirely based on a pay-to-win feature is not a good way to do it. There's a lot of different ways you could make the ranking interesting to players that would be more than just a target dummy damage or something. I'm not going to go through them, but the system itself needs a change rather than just having it based on your Rune Master level. The polishing stones. Someone brought this up. I don't think it's a big deal, but they wanted me to put it in, so I am. When you are using the jewel table, nowhere on there is listed your amount of polishing stones. At every other table that you can use, it shows the currency somewhere on the screen. How much gold, how much of your essence, how much of your crafting material, whatever it is, but the polishing stones aren't shown anywhere. If I'm starting to run out and I need to plan to get more, I shouldn't have to go check my inventory to see how many I have. In general, it's obnoxious. It needs work. Also, while I'm on it, I didn't actually put it on here, there needs to be an auto roll for jewel slots. I know on the lower ones, the ones that only have 1 slot, it's fairly easy to roll them. But when you're trying to get a star black on a ring and you got to sit there clicking forever and you'll click past it, it cannot possibly be that hard to add an auto roll for that feature. I know I'm not the only one that wants it. I think it's something you guys are fully capable of doing. Next one is both of these are from someone else, but I do agree with at least one of them. So when you go to the arena and you want to do 10K, because exactly 10,000 points is the amount that you want to play. If you are doing lower than that, that's fine, but having a button, once you put in your boss spirits, the lower tier spirits are obnoxious to get to exactly 10K, and there should be a button that just take the amount of my spirits out and give me 10K. I don't think it's necessarily a feature that is super important, but it is something that would make the arena process smoother. The other one someone had said is at the alchemy table, upgrading your white spirits to blue and your blue spirits to yellow. It's purely just for a storage purpose so that when you get to full of them and you're not ready to maybe go do arena, you're in the middle of other stuff, it's not clogging up your inventory unnecessarily. Now we are going to talk, no, hold on, I would have already talked. I'm going to put it ahead of this about the inventory management and stuff. I'm going to put it its whole own section, so you would have already seen it, but this is something that we want to see change. The next one is one that I swear I'm the only person that asked for it, but I'm going to keep asking for it. the prefix suffix chevrons, not Shenrons, that's the dragon from Dragon Ball. These little thingamajigs right here. I have crappy eyesight. With my glasses off, I can't read the screen from here. And with that, on my phone, when I am trying to do crafting, it is impossible to tell what's a prefix or a suffix. Please change them away from these dumb little circles to an up arrow and a down arrow. Every game I've ever played that has prefixes and suffixes has a way better indicator of prefix and suffix. It cannot possibly be that big of a deal to change it. Now, again, I am asking personally for this. If it gets changed, nobody's going to care except me and the other old blind people that are playing your game. But it's something I would really like to see. Move the escape button or the unstuck button to the main menu. Now, I'm not sure how you would go about doing this on the mobile version, but on the PC version at least, the unstuck button, you have to go to this menu, then that menu, all to get to this escape button. That's way too many steps for a feature that should be apparent. Players shouldn't have to. I had to make a whole video about it, and people were like, I didn't even know this existed. A feature in a game where currently you get stuck in the floor a lot, which is a whole separate issue that I'm not going to talk about in the video, but you get stuck in the floor a lot, or in the wall, or outside of a map in this game. And that feature is very important to have. I'm not sure where you would put it on the mobile version, but on the PC version, it should be right here. It should be on this menu, and it should be the unstuck or escape or whatever. I wouldn't call it escape because that's not worded well, but unstuck should be right here. Next is one I have asked about this since my first wish list. And I'm going to talk more about this in another section that was probably actually before this in the video, because again, I filmed this out of order. But titles need two things. One, you need to be able to click on a title and see exactly what the requirements are. Take me to the achievement and show me what the requirements are for that title, or have them listed on the title itself. In the current system, it is not very well put together, where we have to go to the journal, and then we go to the title, and we see, okay, Adventurer of Traum, level 2, and then I have to go back out here and go to the thing, and then find which of these things has Adventurer of Traum to find out what I need to do. Okay, so level 2, I need this many. And even if you do manage to find it, it doesn't show the requirement. It shows a level and what the current completion is. It doesn't show how many I need to get to it. For the best possible scenario, there should be a progress bar right here. There's lots of space. There should be a progress bar showing how close you are to that thing and what the actual requirements are, not just get Adventurer level 2. And while we're on these, there are titles that don't show not the titles. There's achievements that don't show the requirement on them. The one I can think of off the top of my head is the mines one. I'm not sure where it is, but it doesn't show the amount needed. While we are on these, there are achievements that are unachievable, and let the people keep the titles, but remove them from the list. It looks really sloppy when we go to the own defect and go, okay, I have 49% of the titles, but I actually, not on this anyway, but I actually have every single available title. The other titles are unachievable, which means they should be in their own category. I know a lot of games have a separate category for legacy titles that you cannot get anymore, but they're not going to show up in these because people like me that are completionists go crazy when there's titles that we can't get, and these titles have been gone since season 3. This is really sloppy that it's like this, and it cannot possibly be that much effort to change it. Okay, that was a big one for me. I know I got a little heated there, but that one bugs me a lot, that the achievements and titles are so problematic to figure out what you need to do, and you can't get them all, and the whole system needs an adjustment. And it's probably not a huge amount of effort to do. This is one that somebody just brought up before I started the video, which is converting keys into other keys for maps. What we mean by that is if I go to here, and you can see I am currently cooking some Serpens maps because I want to use them, but there is a greater card that I don't ever want to run. I don't need anything from it, and I would love to be able to turn these keys somehow into other usable keys for maps that I'm not going to run. Again, this is a feature that is probably not going to get changed. You have the system in place and you don't see a reason to change it, but knowing that these are sitting here doing absolutely nothing for me when I could use them for something I do want, even if it was random conversion, take X number of keys and convert them into a random key, I'd still do it because these materials are doing nothing for me. And the last of the low priority stuff is one that I really should do a whole separate section on, so I am going to do a separate section on it. So this section is going to be specifically about the guild and how there are multiple things with the guild that should change. So the first one is the guild donation button. Why are you gating this at this point? There is very little to be gained by letting us just use all of our, what are they called? Guild coins. They serve very little purpose, and I'll talk more about it when we get into the guild and look at the actual shop. But these are annoying. We just pick them up, and then you can use 10 a day, and then they're annoying, and you just stack up tons of them, and they serve no purpose. And so either letting us use all of them at once, or giving us more things to buy so that it feels worth it to bother keeping them. So this is problem number one. Now, number two is this button right here, the purchase all. I push this, it gives me these 7 buffs for 2 hours. And then, since I'm going to play for 6 hours, I have to go through and manually click each one of these twice each to get my full 6 hours. One, why are you only letting us do 6 hours at a time? Why does it matter? Let us put on 15 hours at a time. Also, just let us push this same button to give us all the ones we have again for 2 hours. It can't possibly be that hard to let us just go, okay, so there's our 700, and then it grays out, and I can't click it again to give me more of these. So those two. The next is the guild base itself. There are very few things to do here in the guild shop. Okay, we can buy some accessory chests that no one will ever use, other than very potentially some specific trying to get link rune drop chance to get whatever special link runes. There's very little reason to get these. The guild special runes, let's face it, with guild raids, this is effectively made useless. And even if someone could, like I said, get a ton of guild coins and come in and just get the link runes, why is that such a bad thing? Why is this gated so hard when getting them is not that difficult outside of a very few of them, basically just the improved technique? Why is this process still made so sloppy when we removed all the other very difficult ways to get guild runes? I think guild runes should just be completely removed from being guild runes and just put into the natural flow of things. This is an unnecessary step. The rest of the stuff in here is mostly account weekly anyway, so why does it matter if we have a bajillion guild coins? So that's problem number one, is that we have a million guild coins and nothing really to spend them on, because other than the formula books, once you buy those, there's no real reason to come in here. Star of Regressions aren't really a thing that's used heavily anymore. Even these books, it's weekly, so why does it matter if we have a ton of guild points? There needs to be something else in the guild shop, especially now that these are going to be gone as far as I know. There needs to be something in here for us to spend guild points on and let us just use all our guild points. The other thing I do want to talk about with guilds is it feels very pointless being in a guild. The guild raids are a great idea. I know when they were first introduced, my guild went really hard at trying to figure out the new mechanics in them and work together and get the stuff, but the rewards are so unimpressive that really, we do them like the first week of the season to get some guild coins so that we can get our guild the guild runes, and then we never bother doing them again. Making it worthwhile to run guild raids is something that this game desperately needs. It's, for lack of a better word, it's a single player game. You almost never group up. There's almost nothing to do as a group, and making guild raids more forward so that we can do them together and work on things is something this game really needs. That's pretty much it for guild stuff, and that is it for the low priority stuff. And now we're going to get into some of the bigger things, the medium priority stuff. Okay, we're done the normal grade stuff. We're moving into the magic grade stuff, the middle stuff. Again, some of these are directly from me, some of these are from viewers, but I agree with all of them. That's why I put them on the list. The first one is a very small one. 2,500 birth essences should be able to be made into a hex link, exclusive hex link at the alchemy table. Because it's exclusive, it doesn't affect anyone else. It's not going to screw up the market or anything. And it's the same as giving us the thing, but we don't have to sit and wait for it to clang, 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 clang. One of the things I probably already put a section about before this is making your players' time, making it so that your players feel like you're not wasting their time. Letting us use exclusive essences to get a 6 link rather than having to sit and wait for the exact same amount of time. Rather than making us waste our time, we can play the game. It's a very big quality of life feature that should have been brought to the attention. It should have been done before now. Since 2,500 is a guaranteed 6 link when you're rolling, letting us just waste the potential at getting it sooner so that we can guarantee it is not something that's going to imbalance the game at all, but it's going to be a very big step in showing that you care about your players' time. Next is one that I'm currently going through that I would love to see changed, is being able to synthesize all maps of the same type at once. So if I am making, like I am here, trying to make a bunch of, oh, you can't see yet, there, trying to make a bunch of Serpens maps, and I'm trying to make 70 of these things. Now, I have to make 70 normal ones, then I have to make those same 70 blue ones, and then I have to make the same 70 yellow ones, and then I have to make the same 70 legendary ones. Why not just let us stack them? It's not going to throw off game balance at all by being able to come in here and say, I want to make all 73 of these in this slot. Take the same time, multiply it by the number of maps, let us make it. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't be able to do this thing in some kind of, it screws up the game balance or anything. You're giving us a convenience for doing it, and I guarantee I'm not the only player that wants to see this kind of thing, because when I put my wish list out, this is multiple times people have asked for this particular thing. Let us make however many. We can do it with every other material. We can come in here and make 1,000 potions at once. We can come down here and make 1,000 birth essence at once, but we can't make 100 maps at the same time. Now, if it's something based on inventory problems or something, put a cap on how many they can do. Make it 50, but having to go through each one every time is torture. And it really needs to be addressed, because if you're trying to do large quantities of stuff, and someone who does a lot of videos based on rarity hunting and stuff, I have to do hours and hours of work to get these same things that I've already got, and being able to just put it in and wake up in the morning, so set 8 hours worth of stuff, go to sleep, wake up, and my stuff's done and I can go back to playing, would be a major quality of life feature for a lot of players. And oh, this one is something that I've been asking for a while. It's also been brought up multiple times by other players, is enemies need to instant summon when you open a chest. Again, I've already talked about that your game is based on speed. Everything is fast. Blow up the thing, move quick, blow up the thing. When you click on vaults or portals. So if it's the Altar of Blessing portals or the Mistburner portals, the enemies need to come out all at once, and they need to come out quickly. The other big problem is on certain maps. The tier 6 Nightmare of Calicorda map is another real bad one about this, where there's enemies that climb up the walls that come and try to ambush you, but they take forever. They take so long that it's faster to go all the way to the end of the map and then all the way back to the start than it is to stand there and wait for each enemy pack to appear. This is something that every single ARPG I have ever played does. It needs to be immediate. The enemies need to come out very quickly. It's another thing where a lot of the time people don't bother with vaults at all because it's not worth your time. It's doubling your time on a map because you have to stand there and wait for enemies. It's something that really needs to be addressed. The next one is something that I think is probably a harder feature for you guys to do, but I know I'm not the only one because, again, this is something that has been brought to my attention by multiple players. The target dummy needs to have attack options. It needs to be able to hit the player. Now, I'm not sure exactly how you could set up certain attacks or what. I'm sure this would not be a small thing to do, but I know that certain players have builds that are based on, or skills and stuff that are based on getting hit, and you're losing out on the damage of testing that or ways to test that because as a player, you're not taking damage. So if I have a thing on my counter attack that does something, I can't test that on a target dummy, and I can't properly test it in maps. So this is something that I think would be a much larger issue for you guys to do, but it is something that I think you should really consider adding. Auto reroll for Zodiac Stone engravings. This is definitely something, I already talked about it with the Jewel table, that it needs an auto reroll. Zodiac Stones need it more, especially if you're going to continue to reset them every season. It's annoying to sit there and try to reroll when you just want, I want these 3 things and I'm going to roll until I get it. Having to sit there and click and look and click and look and click and look is, again, wasting your player's time for no reason. You have auto reroll on basically every single thing in the enchanting system and the crafting system. No, you don't have it in the crafting system either. Put it in the crafting system too. Having to reroll things when most of the systems in the game have a reroll system where you can set up a thing and say, roll until I get this thing. It's in charms, it's in enchanting. So crafting and Zodiac Stone engravings need an auto roll. Again, huge quality of life improvement that the player base will absolutely appreciate. This is another one. I don't care about this one as much, but I know this is a big issue, and I see complaints on it on the Discord all the time. Item filter for exclusive essences. Now, I don't know why they are technically separate items, but in the item exclusion list over here, if I go and put the Magic Birth Essence, it will still pick up the exclusive ones. I know some players have a ton of storage issues, and we're going to have a whole separate section about storage issues, but not having an exclusive in this list is really counterproductive. It's people hate it. You gotta have either this counts both or have a separate modifier that we can add for exclusive. Also, while we're in here, make this more than 30. I don't use more than 30. I don't see a reason why you are limiting this. This is something that should just be open. You should be able to put as many things as you want on there. So that's definitely 2 things that I know I am not the only one being able to put these on and have exclusives as well, or having this include exclusives. This one is, again, something that as the game has progressed has become more and more of a problem, especially now with the ancient tier 10 Chaos Stars. The mods, the authority mods on stars they're garbage. And I understand you're trying that not everything can be a good thing and you have to have reasons that you do it. But if we look at the charm storage here and we go down to my orbs, This one's a fine one. You can use it. But the ones, let me see if I can find, there's one. This one's got Miraceti Boreal Vesper. No one's ever going to use that. And early on, it wasn't a big deal because farming these stars was easy. Now, when we're at a point where we need to do a ton of work, which is why I'm making the Serpens maps right now, to get a tier 10 Ancient Orb, okay, which apparently I have. Anyways, to get a tier 10 Ancient Orb and have it be a Miraceti is an absolute shot in the guts. It is torture. Please, I desperately beg you, with all humbleness, get rid of these. They don't serve a purpose. No one is using them, and all it's doing is making us frustrated. Next is runestones. Now, runestones have all kinds of their own problems, and one of the bigger ones is right now, anyway, that you changed how runestones drop, and they are drastically more common or more uncommon than they were. They used to be very common. You would do a raid, you're almost guaranteed to get one. Now you get one box with one in it, and it has a chance to be a legend or a unique one, but you only get one. It made them so much harder to get when they were already a bad item as it is. You need to get one that has the right mods, and then you need to roll it to get into the right spot. And if you get a unique one, there is no item to re-roll it. Runestones in general need to be completely reworked as far as I'm concerned, or they need to be adjusted in a more positive way. They need to be accessible through larger numbers rather than just through raids, because I know my current character I don't even think I have a runestone on that really does anything. So yeah, I have two and they're both kind of junk. And that's all I picked up all season because doing the raids doesn't feel rewarding. I know you changed some of the stuff so that the raids would feel more rewarding, but you changed it so these are harder to get now. They're more of a pain to get because you can only get one at a time. And again, I haven't even picked up a rare one yet, or one that I could use anyway. So that needs to be reworked, and the unique ones need I don't even know what they're called. Give me a second. The reroll slot thing. Where are they? These here. The Runestone Magic Link Essence and the Runestone Rare Link Essence. It needs a unique one. It's something that has been requested multiple times. I know I've talked about it in other wish lists, and it definitely needs to be addressed. Okay. This one is from my partner. She is furious about the cosmetic system, which I did a whole thing about the cosmetic system before this. Cosmetics that you have purchased should absolutely be able to recolor for free. I put money into it. I want to change the color. Why do I need to purchase more to change the colors? This should be a free thing. This is free in every game that I've played. This feels greedy. And I'm going to talk about that a few times, that you guys, I know you're not trying to be greedy. You are a company. You are struggling like the rest of us are with this economy, but doing things like this feels greedy and turns players off of your game. Medium. The remove the loot scroll or give us a way to toggle it off. Now, what I'm talking about is when you are playing, down here behind my camera that you wouldn't be able to see anyway, is a little tally of all of the loot you are picking up. All it's doing is slowing down the game. No one looks at that thing and goes, oh, that was the thing. It's easy enough to see what drops. If a holy item drops, you can see, and then you could just check your backpack. Having it constantly showing that I'm picking up 200 gold, 200 gold, 200 gold, 200 gold, magic essence, 200 gold, 200 gold, is taking up processor power that doesn't need to be taken up. Now, some people may want it on, which is why I suggest a toggle to turn it off. In the settings somewhere, everybody could decide on their own if they want to keep it on or they want to turn it off. It's just like skill features with the cosmetics and flashiness. You can turn all of those down. You can turn all of those off if you want for other players and stuff, and you should be able to do that same with that little scroll. I know it seems minor, but this game is very power intensive, especially for people using mobile phones or old computers like mine And I want to get every frame I can out when I'm doing things like the Abyss Gate, and it's absolute mayhem. And that little scroll of pointless scroll of pickups is something that needs to be removed, or at least have an option to be removed. This one is something that the first one is part something that I've brought up, and the other one is somebody quit the game because of this. When the CAPTCHA comes up, now, if you don't know what the CAPTCHA is, I am going to bring up the image here because I specifically grabbed one earlier just so that when it came up, I could bring it up. And of course, I can't find it now. There it is. Okay, CAPTCHA. This thing here. Of course, I closed it. This thing here. When this comes up, two things happen. Now, I am a controller player. I love playing your game on controller. I play it on controller even when I play on mobile. When you use the D-pad to move your little Coco here up to the things, it uses the potions that I have in my slots. That's problem number one. Problem number two is this doesn't pause the game. This is a live service game. The game's playing. So while this is up, you can still get attacked. And I know that a Sentry player, because we have auto attack, the rest of us, Sentry players and Trap players, and I think there's a couple others, Minion players, don't have anything up while they are doing this and get killed. People have lost maps due to this, and there absolutely needs to be an invincible window while this is up. It is wild that it doesn't exist. This is something that has been in the game for a long time. I know I've brought this up in other wish lists. Invincibility window while the CAPTCHA is up, and please make it not use potions while we're using the D-pad to control the thing, whether it's on PC or on mobile. Next up, use effect when potion ends. This is something that, again, I've put in many of my community wish lists, and I have been reminded to put it in this one 3 times since I started this wish list. When you have your potion equipped, there is a feature, use potion upon status effect. It needs to be when this potion is not active, activate this potion. I know you have a time-based one, but sometimes this doesn't activate. I want it to check if this potion is on, and if it is, use it. The reason the time thing doesn't work properly is because potions have longer duration than their cooldown in a lot of cases if you're going to be using potions. So the potion cooldown ends here and then activates, and I lose that extra duration, making anything I have in terms of duration useless. And it's a very small quality of life feature that I know I am not the only one who has brought it up. Again, I've been reminded 3 times since I started this wish list that this is something that needs to be addressed. So please give us a when potion is inactive, activate potion toggle here. Next up is, this is one that, especially for myself, is something that I desperately want. I know I'm not the only one. Again, I have been asked about this a couple of times. I'm getting a thumbs up because I brought up the potion thing. Is what I would call Master Enchanter, Master Crafter mode. When you are using the crafting table, okay, I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to select I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to hit craft. Are you sure you want to do this? I have to click this every single time. When I am crafting, I know I want to do it. And having to click 3 times for something that should be 1 click is annoying. This is a really long process, and I'm gonna put a whole separate section ahead of this, or before, back in the other sections, about crafting itself. Crafting is tedious enough as it is. It's already a very sluggish system that needs to be worked on. Having that pop up every single time drives me insane. Have a little toggle right here called Master Crafter mode. And when you toggle it on, it doesn't give you those notifications that, hey, you're going to destroy something. When you click it, have a pop-up saying, hey, by turning this on, you're turning off any chance, and if you make a mistake, it's on you. Okay? Really simple system. Do the same with enchanting. Enchanting is the same process where I will be doing a thing and I have to click extra times. I have to click 3 times. Yes, click yes. Yes, click yes for something that should be 1 click because it says, hey, this is a tier 14 mod. Are you sure you want to get rid of it? Yes, I am absolutely sure. Please, just a little thing here, or if you really want to make it so that somebody doesn't accidentally click it, put it in the settings somewhere under accessibility with Master Enchanter, Master Crafter mode so that we don't have those unnecessary clicks. Again, a lot of what I'm talking about in this video is about not wasting your players' time, making their time feel valuable. When you don't care about your players' time, the players aren't going to care about your game. This is a feature that would save me hours. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I do a ton of enchanting and crafting, especially when I'm doing videos for players, and having to click those things hundreds and hundreds of times over and over, thousands of times in some cases, is a massive time waste that is unnecessary. Next up, we've got storage expansions. Hold on. Nope, not storage expansions. Charm slot upgrade for the star is something that has been the same since its inception, and no one has ever used any option other than blessing. I have a very simple solution to this. It's very simple. Put this blessing effect on every single other one. Let us have a choice in what we want. Get rid of the blessing effect one entirely and put this same amount of blessing effect on every single other one at max level. That lets us decide what we would like to get out of it rather than it being a guaranteed choice of just this one thing. There's none of these even remotely compare to the stuff we're getting from the blessing effect. Putting this amount of blessing effect on every single other option gives us that option of choice, and that's what you want in these games. Players want to have more than one choice in a big list of choices. It would be insane to take any of these other ones when this gives you so much. This has been like this since day one, and I know you've addressed some things in the charm slots, and I'm very happy with the changes you've made, but this is something that absolutely needs to change, and I think the solution I've offered is both easy to implement and would be a really good choice. Next up is storage expansions. I, again, probably did a whole section about storage before I started this. Storage is at a premium in this game. You're always going to want more storage. Now, your direct competitor, your biggest competitor, is Path of Exile. In Path of Exile, you can always buy more storage. I want to give you my money for storage. Do you understand? I'm not trying to say give it to us for free. I will pay for it. I want more storage. Give us more storage that we can buy. There's absolutely no reason to not let us purchase an infinite amount of these extra storage things. I don't understand why you've limited us to only 5, and once we buy those, that's it. I will give you money. I will give you money. I'm not talking even about diamond or rubies. I'm talking about diamonds. I'll give you $20 for more storage. This is something that every single player is requesting. Now, a lot of the players are requesting more backpack space. I understand that's probably something you don't want to fully implement because of mule characters and stuff, but more storage in general. Now, I probably did a whole section about this in the beginning, and I probably went nuts in there about stacking different things, but storage is something that you could be making money off of. I guarantee, because I played Path of Exile for 2,800 hours, and I bought storage every single season. Give us more storage options. Let us buy more storage, and not these specialty ones, although we're going to talk about that whole separate thing. More storage, please. It's insane that you're not selling more. You could be making money. Next up is unique maps need to be able to be boosted. I know this seems minor, but there has to be a way to let us play a unique map Please tell me I have a unique map. Do I not have a unique map? Am I out? There. Other than the Custodia maps, none of the other ones can be boosted. So when I put this in, I can't increase its difficulty. And that's crazy that we can't do it. I'm sure you have some logical reason why you won't do it, but this is something that I guarantee other players would like to see. Now, I understand it's probably requires some balance and some changes to stuff, but this is definitely something that players want. I know I'm not the only one. People have asked about this. Hi, Scammer. We got 2 more mediums, which is the chat system. Now, I put this as a medium. The chat system is terrible. I know that you know it's terrible because it was already addressed in the Q&A with the Korean streamers 2 years ago. The chat system is horrendous in this game. As someone who has played a million online games, World of Warcraft in 2004 has a better chat system than your game does right now. This not being able to be adjusted, I can't scroll it and put it like a little small thing in the corner. It's either gigantic or it's off. There's no way to filter certain messages so that I only see certain things. The chat system is bad. It needs to be fixed. This is not like some casual thing. This is supposed to be a massive online game, and I constantly miss messages from people messaging me because I don't see the stupid little pip over here, because there's always a pip over there. There's always somebody asking for a group or whatever that I'm not interested in, but it's the same pip as when there's a message. The chat system has been a problem since day one, and it has not been changed at all, other than I think you can do this. You can make it full screen now, which why would you ever need that? Instead of being able to scrunch it down and make it small and be usable, you added a way so that we can go full screen, which also bugs on mobile, but let's not get into that. The chat system desperately needs an overhaul. Okay, last of the medium stuff is the Void Rift. I understand you're updating content, okay, and things get changed, and you're doing great in a lot of regards, especially with the Constellation of Time getting changed this season. Next needs to be Void Rift. Void Rift was, when it came out, the hardest content in the game, and it was interesting. It was different, right? You've got these things lowering your things and certain things happening, but the content has fallen way behind because Abyss Gate is so much more difficult than anything Void Rift throws at you that it's not even worth doing. And because it is content you can only do once a week, letting us have 20 more difficulties on it and making the rewards in those worth doing weekly would really revamp that particular thing. Putting Holy and Ancient, maybe a selection box once a week in there would do a couple of things, but one, it would revamp the thirst to go beat the Void Rift every week. Okay, we're on to the big stuff. The last few things that are on the community wish list, and these are generally going to be the big ones. These are the ones that I've had either the most complaints about or the biggest response to. So the first one is distortion stones. Now, I understand you want to make the game as challenging and interesting as possible, but putting distortion stones behind the Abyss Gate is having the stones in general behind the Abyss Gate is a good idea. I like this idea. The problem is the distortion stones, you have to be so far into the Abyss Gate to even have a chance at getting them. Yes, you could get lucky and get the 2% chance right here of getting an Abyss stone. This season, I am 35 stages in. I haven't seen one yet. And they won't start dropping until stage 50, which makes them inaccessible to most of the player base. Abyss stones are build defining by definition. They are build defining because they are taking gear that is otherwise possibly unusable. If you're talking about certain weapons that are basically just garbage at this point, but the effect is build defining, And putting it behind such a high entry level for a chance to get them is really problematic. When you're talking about things like barrier builds that desperately need the distortion stone for the chess piece to really get their values high enough to even get to a Bisgate 50, it's really detrimental to the mentality of the player base. Where I got my heart rate. Just realized that's where I got it from. The distortion stones are a great thing. I think you've done a great job with them, and I hope you keep working with them. But I'd like to see, if nothing else, a higher chance to get them from these. And I'm not someone who typically says just increase drop rate. Even though people constantly bring up just drop rate about things, you notice I haven't talked about drop rates in here at all, because I don't feel like increasing drop rates is going to make the game better. This is things that I think would improve the game or the view of the game in the eyes of the players. This is, having this at a 2% drop chance is not good. I feel like this is an incredibly bad percentage chance to get something that, again, is build defining in a lot of cases. Again, I don't expect you to suddenly make it easy to get. I don't want to be able to just suddenly access it very early on in the game, but I do feel like the access to distortion stones is gated too far into the end game content. Next up, we've got the portal bug. Now, this is something that has existed for the entirety of this game. This has been there since day one. Now, I understand as a company, as a game, that to solve an issue, you need to know what the issue is. And the portal bug is something that has existed so long with no clear definition of what is causing it. I got it earlier today. Walked into a boss room and suddenly most of my skills and stuff weren't working. Okay. I can't give you a concrete answer as to what is causing this particular bug that either shuts off your Zodiac or shuts off your Link runes or shuts off your gear. They're completely random, but this is a bug that is incredibly bad. It is super detrimental to this game. If you want me and the players to get serious about trying to get a bug report, something that is the cause of the thing, let us know that you are aware that this is a thing and ask for help. The player base in games loves the game. That's why they're there. And asking players like myself to start seriously doing legwork to try and find it would be great. Mike, why don't you just do that anyway? I am, but I'm one man and I only do so many things. There's got to be something that can be addressed. It's not even in the known bugs that going into portals occasionally just breaks your character. It's definitely something that is a very high priority because it is detrimental. It is a game-breaking bug. This isn't a minor thing. The reason I'm annoyed about it right now, again, even though it happens to me multiple times per season, is because I was finishing a Bisgate 35. It's my first time getting to a Bisgate 35, and I got to the boss, entered the boss room, and my character broke. I spent 20 minutes trying to get to this boss, and my character broke, and I couldn't beat the boss because of it. This is a extremely bad bug that seems to get no acknowledgement from the devs at all, and it's got to get fixed. The next one is one that people have been talking about since the invention of the thing, which is removing the ruby cost from the lacrima. Now, again, I fully appreciate that you are a company and you are trying to make money, and making players want to buy the battle pass so that we can remove the lacrima is a way you're trying to make money. It's a bad way to make money. What you should do, and I understand this is going to cost you some players that might potentially not buy the battle pass, but as someone who's been playing this game since its inception in North America, I have never purchased the battle pass ever, and I never will. It's not something I want to spend money on. I'd love to spend money on storage and cosmetics and all these other things that you won't let me spend money on, but this is not something I would spend money on. I know no one is actively buying this just for this feature. I would pay rubies to unlock the feature to buy it if it was just for that, but that's not even the way you should be doing it. Having your gear be gated by a cost that is money effectively is a really bad look on your players, on your thing. The players look very poorly on that kind of thing. Now, the way I feel like it could be fixed, and I've brought this up in videos before, is increasing the amount, drastically increasing the amount of the material that you use to put into the gear, into and out of the Lacrima. Make it Links of Unity, but make it a very high cost. Instead of 5 of these to remove, have it be 200, 1,000 to remove an item. It's still in-game. The players still have to work for it. And I know part of the reason you don't want us to be able to switch it is so that players don't have 2 fully separate Lacrimas, one for combat and one for item farming, and you want us to be able to not have access to that kind of thing. But this would be a much better way to keep it on theme, and the players wouldn't be annoyed by it. I know for a fact that I am not the only player that absolutely hates that we have to pay you money to switch our gear. It is a bad look on the game. It is definitely something you should address. Next up, of course, I put this thing over here. Now I gotta find it. There it is. The costume shop. I already did a whole thing about the costume shop. The costume shop is a mess. The costume shop desperately needs to be changed. It needs to be addressed. This is big priority. I want to give you money for cosmetics. I want to buy skill skins, but I want to buy just the skill skin. Having a gacha for 5,000 diamonds for 10 pulls that might not even get me enough points to get what I want is highway robbery, and it looks horrendous. The cosmetic shop desperately needs an overhaul. Next one is letting players trade directly, but at a ruby cost. In the current way you have trading, I understand you are using the trade system as a way to take rubies out of the market. If an item costs 50,000 rubies, 2,000 rubies or whatever for the tax goes to you, and it gets removed from the system, and then that makes the overall amount of rubies in the system go down, and it keeps inflation from happening. That's fine. But when I just want to trade an item to my friend, okay, I'm going to put the item up for 10 rubies, the absolute minimum. I'm going to wait for 15 minutes, and then they are going to hopefully be able to buy it. Or it might get sniped by another player. Or you got to sit there refreshing over and over, hoping that the item shows up. It is a bad way to trade. There's got to be some kind of way that you can let us trade directly at a ruby cost. I do not mind paying the rubies for the convenience of trading items. I don't mind it being used as a way to remove rubies from the economy. But having to post an item, wait, hopefully they get it or maybe they don't, is a really bad system. I've played a ton of games with a ton of trading, and even if you don't want players trading freely, this is not the way to do it. It's a really bad system. Okay, next one is a big one for me. Reflect is horrendous. If you look at all your major competitors, all of their games, so Reflect was in earlier Diablo games. Diablo 4 removed it because Reflect is bad. Path of Exile had Reflect. Path of Exile 2 removed it because Reflect is bad. Having players die to an unknown thing, especially players that are not aware of these kinds of things, looks bad on your game. It looks like your game's broken, to be honest. When a player dies, they see 0 damage in the thing because they didn't receive damage from an enemy, and they don't know why they died. I have had many players come to my channel and ask me what happened. Reflect is a bad system, and especially when you get into the later Abyss gates and either have to waste a mod somewhere in your gear to make yourself immune or just die randomly is not a good thing. Having a thing in a game that is specifically there to be not done is a terrible game mechanic. Reflect has been a bane on this game since day one and absolutely needs to go. Please consider that it is detrimental to your game. Originally, when your game was first released, you used to sell revive tickets. Revive tickets are given away freely now. You can't buy them anymore. And because all of the hard content kills you and you can't go back in and use revive tickets anyway, you are making nothing from doing this. We are not spending anything extra on the game to become alive again. All it's doing is killing players pointlessly and adding a layer of annoyance to the game that is frankly not needed. So that, please consider removing Reflect. And the last one, this one, the players have been absolutely screaming at me every season. Dear God, rotate the tier 10 maps. I am begging you with everything in me. I have played your game for nearly 5 years. And we run the same 12 tier 10 maps every season, and I'm going insane. If nothing else on this list gets addressed, this is absolutely insane to me that this has not happened. You have the maps. We are not asking you to make new maps. You have them. The tier 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Take those and rotate them in. It's beyond crazy to me that this is not a thing that has happened. It has not happened once in 12 seasons plus at least 5 major updates before seasons existed. It's nuts that these tier 10 maps are the same tier 10 maps. Every other major game, Path of Exile rotates theirs every season, and you guys have not done it once. I am begging you with every fiber of my being to rotate the tier 10 maps, please. So, there we go. I know this is a really long video. I don't expect the project director to watch this translated into Korean and pay attention to it himself. I'm really hoping that they will hand this to some intern and make him watch it, or at least maybe one of the Korean players will get a hold of this, somebody connected to the game in some kind of way. Now, I am going to do everything I can to make sure that this gets to the devs directly. If you are someone who's going to be playing this game and want to help, try to tag this video to the devs in any way that we can. I'm going to be putting it on the Discord. I'm going to be putting the links on YouTube. I'm going to connect it in any way I can. I'm even going to put it in a ticket. Now, I get asked all the time why I bother making these when the company themselves don't seem to care. I don't think it's that the company doesn't care. I think the company doesn't have the resources to do what they need to get done with this game. And letting them know that we don't necessarily need these massive updates and all these new things, that what we really want is them to fix the things that are already wrong with the game. I can't speak for everyone, but this is as much as I could get from every player that I have talked to over the last few seasons, because I haven't done one of these in a couple of seasons, and I really hope this reaches somebody and gets some attention. As always, thank you for watching. Stay safe, pet cats, eat broccoli, and you'll see me next time.